Hello everyone and welcome back to another furniture flipping video. My name is Samuel with Cedar Pine Designs, and in today's video we will be working on this French provincial style dresser set. This is a commission piece, so let's get our hands dirty and jump straight into this one. I like to start all my projects off by removing all the drawers, doors, and hardware so that I can give it a really good cleaning and number all the drawers so that I can make sure they all go back into their associated spots. This is one of the most massive dressers that I've ever worked on. I really like these doors. When they open up, they give you like these sock type drawers, and I have a really cool little idea to match the top with those drawers just to give it some more raw bare wood look, and you'll see that coming up later on in the video. I like to use a leaf blower to get all the big chunks of dust and dirt out because it really does cut down on time from the cleaning process, especially when you're going to clean out the insides. You don't have to spend so much time on that. So I'm still using TSP degreaser, and I can't seem to get rid of this stuff fast enough. It really goes a long way when you dilute it, so I'll continue to use that until I find an alternative that I get to use after this is done. I'm using an 80 grit sandpaper to sand down the top to bare wood, and then I'll go over it with 150 and 220 grit. As you can see in this shot, there are some swirl marks, and those do make it down to the wood, so using a higher grit sandpaper definitely does help to take all that stuff out. For the middle drawers, I plan on doing the same finish for those as I am to do the top, so that way you get like this nice little surprise when you open up the doors thinking that there's going to be no more bare wood besides the top. I'm removing the hardware so that way I can clean behind it, and I can also prep the handles for paint because I plan on painting them, and that's more of a customer preference. I usually like to polish these out, but it is what it is. Because these drawers are so curvy, I can't use my electric sander to scuff sand all of these, so I just grab a 220 grit piece of sandpaper and I'm just going around scuffing everything up so that way the paint has a really good surface to bond to. I don't really have a choice but to remove the doors because I want to paint the hinges the same color as the handles, and I'll just paint the doors while they're off anyway, but it just makes it a little bit harder. When using a drill to remove these screws, you want to be pretty careful because for some reason these seem to be just made out of a lot softer metal, and they do strip out fairly easy. I did strip a few out and I did have to replace them, but it's not that big of a deal. If anyone out there has ever thought about getting into furniture flipping, I highly recommend it. It's very fun. It's almost therapeutic when you're painting and sanding and you just got some music going, and it doesn't take a lot to get started. You can get started with pretty much just all hand tools and hand painting, and you can create a very nice finish by just hand painting everything and getting some self-leveling paint. It's very good profit, and I really highly encourage it. I'm mixing up some wood filler Bondo just to go around and fill in any deep scratches or gouges. I typically try to just go for the bigger stuff because I don't like to fill in every single thing because I feel it takes away from the character of the piece and its history. So I tend to just gravitate toward the bigger stuff. So before I do anything to the top, I'm just going to mask it off and protect it so that I can paint the body first, because if not, then it's a longer process if you go to stain first, because then you have to wait for it to dry before you can mask it off. So that's just something that I like to do. Seen me do before in some of my previous videos where I work on French provincial style stuff. I like to keep the top bare wood and mask off all the edges and use a razor blade to trim them up so that way I can get a really nice clean line when I'm done. You want to be super careful when using a razor blade to making these kind of cuts. You don't want to slip and accidentally cut your finger, and you also don't want to angle it in the wrong direction and cut or scrape out any of the wood. So the customer chose the paint for this project. They went with the brand from Benjamin Moore. It's called Simply White, and personally I don't really like this paint very much. I just had a little bit of trouble with it. Adding water to it was a lot different than the paint that I'm used to working with, and it takes a lot less to thin it out. Also, I had to use a lot more coats spraying this stuff because it would come out really rough to the touch. So I had to do probably 4 to 5 coats, scuff sanding in between. I don't really recommend this paint very much. Maybe I just didn't pick a high quality enough brand from them, but I'll stick with Behr. Me personally, I never actually chose white for a project that I've done of my own. It's always been a customer that requests that color for their pieces. Not that I don't like white, I think it looks very clean, very fresh. I just don't typically go for those colors because I like to mix it up and get a little, I wouldn't say crazy, but I like to pick stuff that pops and looks really good. When doing a bedroom set, like a big dresser that has matching nightstands, I typically don't show the footage of the nightstands because it's usually the same exact process as the big dresser, but for these ones, after painting it white, you do see a lot of the cracks and a lot of the flaws, so I had to caulk the sides of it just to get rid of those big gaps in the sides, because after so many layers of paint, some places it'll stick and fill the gap in, and then right above it, the gap is wide open and it looks terrible. Before I continue to add more coats of paint, I am mixing in some top coat, verathane, water-based polyurethane, and a satin finish to the white paint, just so that I can give it more coats of paint, but I can also have the top coat to make each coat more durable as I go. And as this stuff dries, I decided to take a break and go out to the beach and have some fun. This place is absolutely gorgeous. The beach that you see down there is called Graywell Cove State Beach. This is south of San Francisco and Pacifica off of Highway 1. Sometimes we just like to take the family and drive down Highway 1, and you have all these nice, beautiful turnoffs that have all these nice beaches and trails that you can hike on. It's just a really good way to take a break from everything and go out and sightsee. After that beautiful day at the beach, it is time to get back to work. I'm working on the handles. I'm spraying them in a color called Oil Rubbed Bronze by Rust-Oleum. It gives it a really nice, dark, almost black color while giving it texture, so it just looks really good and it doesn't look like a standard color of spray paint. Now that the dresser has had some time to dry, I'm removing the masking tape and paper from the top, and I'm going to sand all the small little edges that got paint on it to give it a really nice clean edge. And I'm whitewashing the top, customer preference. I also like it too as well. It gives it a really nice white uniform look while still giving it some exposed wood grain. The whitewash that I use is made by Verathane. It's actually very convenient opposed to using standard paint mixed with water, because you don't have to try to get the consistency right. It just works. It's nice and it dries fairly fast. Now that I'm done applying the whitewash to the top, it is time to reinstall all the drawer handles and all the drawers into their associated slots. I did whitewash the middle drawers the same way that I did the top, but I couldn't find the footage for that. I also finished all the exposed wood from the top in the drawers in Howard's Feed and Wax, because I didn't want to use a polyurethane top coat, just because I wanted to have a more organic feel when you touch it. Also, can't find the footage for that. Not sure what happened. Maybe I dropped the ball on that, but now we're getting the doors reinstalled, and it's getting pretty close to see the final reveal on this one. Using power tools and just hand tools in general on a finished piece when reinstalling doors and stuff like this is always pretty nerve-wracking, because you don't want to slip up, nick something, scratch something, and then you have to go and touch it up. It makes the process take a lot longer, and it's not a good thing. These handles, they weren't very hard to put on. They take a couple of nails and one screw to install the handle. So let's take a look at what this used to look like before so we can see the finished product. Thank you so much for sticking with me this far into the video. As I like to do at the end of every video, I like to break down all the numbers, my profit, and time that it took me to complete this project. Now, given that this is a massive dresser and it does have 2 matching nightstands, it did take me about 10 hours of time. It is a commission piece, so I didn't have to pay for them up front. I charged the customer $700. I did have to buy the paint, that was $50, and another $20 just for material, sandpaper, tape, and stuff like that, which comes out of my own stock, leaving me with a profit of $630 or $63 an hour. Now that the numbers are out of the way, I'd like to thank everybody again for joining me on my furniture flipping journey. This is a very fun process for me outside of my normal day-to-day job. I can't wait to get to my next project, and I'll see you on the next one.